nigga.
I was trying to be funny. Okay. Alright. Let's do this. Now, when it comes to the affirmative, what it means to be a nigga really lies at the question of what it means to be human. Now, just to recap of what the method of the affirmative is that the slave ship represents not just the ontology of whiteness and the way in which they attempted to crouch it, but the ontology of society. The slave ship structured the ontology of society. Within that, it determined which bodies were what, which bodies were human, which bodies were animal, and which bodies were object. The African was placed on the ship, an African, got off the ship, an object. Which is why, but at the point where the African began to rebel, began to deny the laws of not only the chains of the slave ship, but fight back on the plantation as well, was when the nigger arose. Because the nigger questions how we can label this group of people slaves, these group of people objects, how they can exist as objects within our society, but yet still display an autonomy that isn't associated with the hoe, or with the tractor, or with the with the wheelbarrow. Now, the negative fails to address what it means to be human, what constitutes humanity. By leaving this paradigm in place, they are only reproducing and reifying anthropocentrism. They allow the human to remain human. Their ethics of care are still shaped in a humanist discourse, a discourse that excludes niggas and animals. Even if they are right about their root cause argument, their humanist-based ethics still maintain the hierarchy that perpetuates their impacts. We've told you and they have told you. This debate is about methods. So with the method that they presented in this debate is embracing the ethics of care versus letting niggas burn down the slave ship to challenge the ontology of society and what that and how that questions and deconstructs what it literally means to be a human. Now at the point where they haven't, or their arguments about how there's no dialogue with the non-human and how we've been historically anthropocentric and determine who should, the relative ballot should determine who breaks the hierarchy, then that's when you vote affirmative. Because one, when they talk about that they missed the boat on how we are continually explaining that niggas in society are not viewed as human. So yeah, they had a dialogue with the non-human when they got up here and started debating us. They didn't need to put that shit on the. They didn't need to put that shit on the screen. And also extend our Sexton and Martineau evidence that talks about the ignorability of these types of issues when they get up there and talk about how we start from our culture and all these other things in an attempt to dismiss what it means to suffer from these things and suffer from this point. But that ignorability is even more evident when they can't reconcile with when she names all these things going on with animals, how animals are tortured, how animals are locked up, how animals are raped, are killed. That's the same thing that happens with niggas every day. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally black women are raped every day. Niggas are killed every day. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are locked up every day. So when they can't reconcile those things with their methodology, with their ethics of care, then that just shows you how their methodology is flawed.
Also true in the context of our act, where there is an unmeasurable amount of women and children that were killed over the slave ships that we can't even reconcile.
Right, and we can't reconcile the amount of bodies that lie at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, they're either thrown off or jumped off to avoid to avoid enslavement. When they talk about onto that counterperm, that's bullshit. A counterperm is literally do the act, vote act. Also, extend the Harper evidence. This is they have no answer to Harper's analysis from the way they are. The way you forwarded this discussion only reproduces the violence that doesn't allow for you to establish an ethics of care and listening that is important to effectively challenge the paradigm of the slave ship that Yancey describes as a form of body politics that becomes what does that say? Exploited. I don't know. What does that say? Real quick, hurry up. Perfected. And slavery and beyond. The 1AR says that black people have underprivileged but non-exclusive relationship to blackness, and the violence method further extends that underprivilege of the resistance of niggas in this debate space. Your impact calculus and root cause claims is links to our Martineau and our Sexton evidence, the way in which they say, now one, remember, their role of the ballot is a method, not a root cause claim. So even if they win their root cause claims, we still challenge that, we are still a better challenge of what it means to be human and anthropocentrism in the first place. Now, when they talk about when they make these arguments about how we rely on cultural strategies and the images that we depict in our 180C excludes them. You know what I mean? The damning piece of evidence to their methodology is the fact that it's okay to show the images of slave or of animals being killed, but when we talk about niggas being killed and niggas being enslaved, then that's the black-white binary and that's exclusionary. I mean that shows you the way in which they can never address the issue of what it means to be human in society. They can never address the issue of what makes this violence happen in the first place when they can't understand how their ethics are shaped by the ontology of the slave ship. Right? They at the point where they can't articulate what it means to be human, where their only articulation is that Homo sapiens. You know what I'm saying? When historically humans Homo sapiens have been deemed as objects, shows you that their ethics of care fall short in actually challenging the violence that made the slave ship possible.
Their evidence doesn't.
Like
their evidence doesn't account for our Judy piece.
Right. That Donovan evidence doesn't account for our Judy evidence that literally says this question is at the heart of what it means to be